This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So, let us continue our today's discussion again on LVM. So, in the previous class, we saw how to expand the capacity and how to decrease the capacity of a logical volume. But while reducing the size of a logical volume, we faced some issue and the LV got corrupted. And I told you that I would look into that and let you know that how I got it fixed. So I actually, fortunately, I was able to fix that issue. I tried usually by using that fsck command to fix it, but somehow there were some issues with that and it wasn't able to repair it. So what is the workaround or trick I have applied? Let me show you to fix and get back my logical volume to work. So if you just look it out, we have my LV whose size was earlier 600 MB, and I tried to reduce it to 400 MB. That means 200 MB from it we took away, and while reducing there was an issue. By mistake, a wrong key was pressed by me, and that's the reason the LV ended up in corruption. So when I was trying to do FSCK, it wasn't working perfectly for me. So what I did is I increased the size back again to 600 MB, right? I tried to reduce 200 MB, I faced the issue, it wasn't working out. So what I did is I again used the command resize to fs, or sorry, lv resize hyphen capital L. I added again 200 MB back, right? Slash dev my VG my LV. The size was increased. Then I used the command resize to fs slash dev my VG my LV. Now this thing has fixed the issue what I was facing previously. While reducing, I had an issue. So I made it back to 600 MB one more time so that it may fix up the issue, and it actually did that trick for me. It fixed it out. Then again what I did, now if you see the size is 600 MB and the file system is also grown to 600 MB. Then again I went back and reduced the size of logical volume. So to reduce it, as I told you, first of all you should check the space is available to reduce or not. Yes, as you can see, there is a space, ample space available where I can go for reduction. So step number 2, you need to unmount the logical volume. We have done that. After that, we need to forcefully check whether file system's health is okay or not. So I'll go with E2FSCK dev my VG my LV. You see everything it says fine. Last time when I was trying to do that, it was throwing error. So what I did, I just increased back the size, update the file system. So things were fixed up. Then I unmounted LV. I check whether the health is okay or not. Now finally, I'll reduce the size. I'll say LV reduce or LV resize. I want to take away 200 MB from slash dev my VG my LV. Oh, before that, I need to update the file system. I'm so sorry. First, we need to check the space. Second, you need to unmount. Third, you need to check the health of file system. Fourth, you have to update the file system. So I'll say resize to fs slash dev my VG my LV. I'll tell it that I'm going to make your size around 400 MB. So prepare for that reduction, right? Now let me hit enter. It has updated itself. And now I'm going to reduce the size of my logical volume. So I'll say LV resize hyphen capital L. I want to take away 200 MB from slash dev my VG my LV. Do you really want to proceed? I'll say yes, go ahead. So you see, from 600 MB, the size is reduced to 400 MB. From 150 extents, I have made it 100 extent. Now, as the size is reduced, now if I try to mount it back again, you see there is no issue in mounting back again. You check LVS, the size is reduced to 400 MB. You say df-h, you're back to 380 MB. And if you go into your mount point, you see all your data as it is. And these are all old files created on March 3rd. So it's all our previous data, nothing we have lost. So what I did is I just expanded the capacity back and updated the file system. That fixed the issue for me. Then again, I have tried to reduce the way I have shown you today. So this is the way, guys, we have to work with LV reduction. And I told you earlier, LV reduction is a rare activity. People try to avoid as much as possible to avoid these kind of issues. Now let's move forward and let's see how to move or migrate the data from one PV to another PV. See, this situation might come across whenever we update the hardware, especially the hard disk what we use. If we have updated it, we got a new hard disk or new storage. So you have to move the data from this storage to that storage. In that scenario, this movement option would be required. For example, previously I was having a hard disk uh, SDA, for example. Now this is, for example, let's say SCSI based hard disk. So what I did, from this disk, I took a partition and added into a volume group called my V. The capacity of this partition was 500 MB. Now what we did is we brought a new hard disk, or maybe total storage system is updated. So new storage has been purchased, for example, and there is a new disk available, SDB. And let's say this is SAS based disk, which is higher in performance. Now the requirement is to move the data from SDA to SDB kind of thing. So what we need to do, we need to create a partition in SDB, add it into this particular volume group, right? Now let us say um, what should be the size of this new partition. This new partition size can be anything, either at least 500 MB or more than 500 MB, because our idea is to move the data from old partition to new partition. So it should be at least 500 MB, the size of source, or it could be more than 500 MB, but not less than 500 MB, obviously, because to move 500 MB data, I need 500 MB space in destination also. So once you move the data from old partition to new, the old partition will be free and you can remove it from your volume group. So this is the way how you have to move the data from one PV to another PV, so that one PV you can make it free and make sure you can use it for some other purpose, whatever you want to use it out. So now let's move ahead and let us try to see how to work with this concept. So I don't have two different hard disks to move the data between partitions of two hard disks. But if you see in the same hard disk, fortunately, I have two PVs, SDA7 and SDA9. SDA7 capacity is 508 MB and SDA9 capacity is also 508 MB. Now there are two things that you have to keep in your mind while migrating the data. First thing, that size of source and destination PV should be same, right? Or destination can be bigger, but it should be at least of the same size or more than the source. Second rule, what you have to follow is source and destination PV should be in same volume group. So you can move the data between the PVs of the same volume group. So SDA7 and SDA9 both should be in same volume group. You cannot move the data from SDA7 to SDA8. Why? Because SDA7 is in MyVG and SDA8 is in LoRa VG. So two different volume group cannot exchange data between them. So source and destination sizes are important, and source and destination both should belong to same volume group. Then only the migration will work, otherwise it won't work. And one more thing is there, that migration can be done online or offline. Both are feasible, both are possible, right? Online means without unmounting, you can do migration. Offline means you have to unmount. And I told you guys offline, if you want to go, if there is an application or database installed in your LV, then that application or database should be shut down first, and then you have to unmount it. So if you can get that downtime, you can get it, unmount it, and then you can do it offline. The only problem if you do online is while application is in use and you are doing migration, application users might complain slowness in application. Obviously, when migration is going on, the data processing may not be that much fast, so you may face some slowness. But if you cannot get a downtime, if you cannot unmount it, doing it online is not a problem. Slowness is better than downtime. So anyway, in my case, I'm trying to do it online. If you want to do it offline, just one extra step, you have to unmount the LV and then you have to do migration. As of now, you see SDS7 size is 508 MB, 108 MB is free, and SDA9 is 508 out of 508 is free. So when I migrate the data, SDA7 will become free and SDA9 will become used. As of now, 9 is free and 7 is used. So to move the data from one PV to another PV, you have to go with a command PV move. PV move source destination, like that. So I'll say PV move. I want to move the data from SDA7 to SDA9. Now when I start moving, when I hit enter, it is going to take some time. See guys, if you are moving a small amount of data, it would be faster. If you are moving GBs and TBs of data, then it is going to take some time. So what I'll do, I'll hit enter PV move. Let's wait for it to complete. Meanwhile, give me a minute's break, guys. I'll be back in a minute. Okay guys, so as you can see, the movement is completed as it was hardly 500 MB, so the movement was pretty fast. Now, if you check PVS, you see earlier SDS7 508 out of 108 MB was free, but now total 508 is completely free. Whereas SDA9 was free earlier, but now you see SDA9 is completely free. So we have successfully moved the data from SDA7 to SDA9. Now, once you have moved, you have a choice here. If you want, you can remove SDA7 from my VG. Suppose I don't need this partition anymore in my VG. Maybe I want to delete it, or maybe I want to use it for some other volume group, whatever it might be. So once you have moved the data, if you want to remove it from your volume group, then what to do? See, if you want to remove it from your volume group, we call that concept as VG reduce. You remember when we were adding a partition into a volume group, we call it as VG extend. So when you add a PV into a volume group, you're extending the size of volume group. Same way, when you are removing a PV from a volume group, that means you are reducing the size of volume group. So to remove a PV from the volume group, you have to say VG reduce. What is the name of the VG you want to reduce? I'll say reduce my VG by taking away which PV. So if you give by mistake in use PV, it would give you warning. It tells you that it is not possible to remove SDA9 because it is in use. It contains the data. So if you want, you can remove only free PV. As I have told you that SDA7, we have moved the data successfully, so I can easily remove SDA7. And now if you run pvs command, you will find that SDS7 does not belongs to any volume group. It is completely a free PV. Now if you want, you can use it for some other purpose or you can delete it. So this is the way how you can move the data from one PV to another PV, and you can get rid of that PV if you don't want to use it anymore. Okay, all right. Now, lastly, I would like to delete these fellows. Creating PV, we have seen creating LV and all that thing. Now, I would like to remove everything. I want to remove the LVs, I want to remove the VGs, and I want to delete that PVs. So if you want to delete them, then you have to say reverse way. See, while creating, we started by creating a PV. Then we went on for creating VG. Then lastly, we have created LV. But while deleting, you have to do reverse. First, you have to remove LV. Then you have to remove VG. And finally, you have to remove PV. So in the reverse way, we have to work. So let me remove LV. But guys, you cannot remove an LV if it is mounted. For example, I'm telling LV remove slash dev my VG my LV. You see, as it is already mounted, that's the reason you are facing this issue. You can say mount and tail to confirm. You can see that my VG is right now mounted. That's the reason it is not allowing you to remove it. Or moreover, you can say LV display slash dev my VG my LV, and you can see that open status is showing 1. That means it is right now in use. So if you want to remove it, then first you have to unmount it. I'll say umount slash my, Now again, check it out, confirm it. You see it is not yet open. It is unmounted. So now if I issue the command lv remove and lv path. What is the lv path? Dev my vg my lv. So it asks you, I'm sorry, it asks you a question. Do you really want to remove it? Now you need to say yes or no. For example, guys, you don't want every time this question to be asked. While reducing, there was a question, right? While deleting, there was a question. So I don't want it to ask me this question, yes or no. I really want to remove it without being prompted yes or no. So in that scenario, you can go with -f. When you add forceful option, you see it will not stop for asking yes or no, but directly it will allow you to remove the logical volume. Now you see my LV is deleted. Same way, I would like to delete a volume group also. See, my VG is having one PV with zero LV. There is no LVs inside it. Do you really want to remove that volume group? Of course, I want to remove it. So I'll say VG remove. I want to remove my VG. So you see, it got removed, right? So this is the way you can remove the volume group also. Now let us say that I want to remove volume group with all its logical volume. For example, guys, I'm having a volume group with 5 logical volumes. So my requirement is I want to delete the volume group, and at the same time, I want to get rid of logical volumes also. All of them I want to do at a time. To delete all LVs with volume group, you need to first make sure all the LVs inside your volume group is unmounted. So in our case, guys, in Aura VG, I have only one LV. If I have two LVs, both the LVs should be unmounted. If I have four LVs, all four LVs should be unmounted. So in my case, I have only one LV. I'll simply unmount it. So if you just check it out with mount command, you'll find out that Aura LV is connected to /Aura. So let me unmount it. I'll say umount /Aura, and now I'll say directly deleting the volume group. So I'll say VG remove. You can confirm, you'll find out it is not mounted. Now I'll say VG remove. See, I want to remove all the LVs inside it also. So I'll say VG remove -F, where F stands for forcefully doing this activity. So I'll say VG remove -F, and I'm going to remove the volume group called my VG. Observe the output, how it displays. It says, oh, I'm so sorry, it's Aura VG, not my VG. So you see, it says that I have removed Aura LV first, and then Aura VG is deleted. So all the LVs inside that volume group will be deleted, finally deleting the volume group. So all the LVs will be deleted first inside it, and lastly the volume group will be deleted. So guys, these are the important concepts of LVM, what we have seen. But guys, if you want to learn little more about LVM and more concepts, then you can learn this way. For example, you can say PV 2 times press on tab key. When you press 2 times on tab key, you see it shows you many options that you can find out, like PV create, PV display, PV remove, PV, all that we have seen. But you see we have PV change, PV CK, or PV resize. Few options are also being displayed, although they are not used much in environments, but few commands are there that you can learn. Same way, if you say VG double tap, here you will find few more options with VG. For example, I want you to practice at least this command, VG rename, how to rename it, right? Or activating, deactivating a volume group by using VG change option, like that. Or you can go with LV double tap. So here also you can see few options related to LVs, that how we can work with that. Like you have VG scan or LV scan. It will scan how many LVs are there. VG scan will scan how many VGs are there, like that. So if you want to learn about any command, for example, I want to learn how to go with VG rename command. So initial help you can get by typing hyphen hyphen help, which tells you how to use this command. So it says VG rename will rename a volume group. Lots of options it is giving you, and it tells you how to work with that particular command. VG rename, what is the old name and what is the new name you want to use. Little more about it you want to get, then you can go with man pages. See, manual pages are always very helpful to get more information about any command. For example, I'll go with VG rename. So when I say man uh, VG rename, it opens a manual page for me, which allows me to read more details about it. And if I go with more, it gives me detailed information about what will do what and how we have to work with that. And you see, the beautiful thing is it also contains examples. So these examples would tell us how to use this particular, uh, you know, volume group. Same thing, you can go with other commands also. Even more you want to learn, you can go with info pages. So when I say info VG rename, info VG rename, it might try to give me little more detail. Sometimes info pages might give you more detail when compared to man pages. So these are the few things, guys, through which any command it might be. You may try to get more detail about that thing. Okay, now let us try to learn how to install the entire Red Hat operating system under LVM platform. Last time when we did installation, we did it using three partitions: root, boot, swap, and fixed size partition. Now let us say that I want to go with flexible volumes, that is LVM, which is better than standard size partition, because whenever there is a requirement to expand the capacity, LVM is one of the safest and widely used method to increase the size of partitions. For example, we have root partition. What if root partition is filled up? If it is not LVM format, it would be challenging to expand the capacity of that partition. So if we do installation in LVM platform, it would be easier to expand the capacity of any important partition that is vital for operating system or application functionality. But we need to keep certain things in our mind while going with LVM based installation. So guys, when we say LVM based RHEL installation, the total installation process is same what we have done last time. The only change what we are going to find here is, instead of going with standard partition, we are going to go with LVM based partitioning. So guys, I'm going to create root, I'm going to create boot, I'm going to create OPD. Now this is optional, guys. See, last time we created only one important partition, that is root. Inside root, you will find all the important directories like OPT, var, tmp. Here we have a choice that you can create few other uh, directories as a separate partitions. Like you can create a partition for home that keeps home directory for all the users, or you can create a separate directory called var to maintain log files and all. See, if you want to go with three partitions in this format also, that is more than enough, right? Or if you want separately home, separately where, that is also fine, right? That is also cool. So if you want, you can go with three or you can go with all the available options. For each and every option that is listed over here, we are going to create a logical volume, right? So one logic volume for root, one for swap, one for home, one for var. For each option, you're going to create a logical volume. But guys, out of all, there is one option that cannot be placed on LV, and that is boot partition. See, boot partition is not supported as LV, it has to be created as standard partition. Why is this requirement? Why boot partition is not supported to be created as LV? See, if you keep boot partition in LV, the booting process cannot start. The reason is LV will be used after PV is activated, then VG will get activated, then LV will be activated. Do you think your booting process can wait that long? You power on the machine and system should start booting. If you try to create boot as LV, then to activate the LV, first of all, the PV should be activated first. Then using that PV, VG should be activated. Then LV will be activated. So booting process does not work like that. Even before the hard disk is activated, you need to find out that even before even before this fellow is activated, we need to make sure that um, bootstrap is activated. See guys, in your hard disk, the bootable hard disk, the topmost portion is called as bootstrap. Why it is called as bootstrap? Because it is a special place where your bootable things are kept. Even before the full hard disk is activated, that bootstrap will activate and it will start booting. So guys, we cannot keep that bootstrap in the form of LV. If you try to keep it in the form of LV, then as I told you, first PV should be activated, then VG should be activated, and finally LV should be activated. So booting process may not work. There is no choice here, guys. It is a mandatory thing that boot should be created as standard partition. So boot is not supported under LVM format. So let us move ahead, guys, and let us try to see how to perform that installation in LVM platform. So what I'm going to do here is we are going to create a new partition. So let us click on new partition and I'm going to call it with a name RHEL30 or whatever name you like. The whole method is same, guys. I'll click on next. How much memory you want? I'll give at least 2 GB so that 2 GB is given RAM. Moving ahead, create a virtual hard disk now. Yes, created. Same thing, guys, what we have done in our normal installation. Disk type VDI, dynamically allocated. I'll not change that also. Hard disk size, maybe this time I'll go for 20 GB or 25 GB, whatever size you want to give. Then I'll go for create. So you see your new VM is created. Let's click on settings Same changes, guys. Only installation method, the partitions are different. The whole process is as same as what we have done earlier. So I'll go into system. I'll first increase the processing unit from one processor to two processor. I'll come back to motherboard. I don't want to use floppy. I'll put it down. First bootable device is CD. Also, to make sure that mouse works perfectly, I'll change it to USB multi-touch. Then I'll go to storage. You see DVD is not yet connected. So I need to make sure that Red Hat DVD is inserted. So I'll click on that DVD icon. See, the list is already showing that I have already used 8.3 DVD ISO. Information is there. So let me click on that. So Red Hat 8.3 DVD is inserted. Let us say OK, and let's double click on that machine to be powered on. So we have created a new virtual machine with same settings what we have done previously. Now I'll say continue with that DVD. Let me increase the size for you people to view properly. So whole method is same. We'll go with option number 1 and hit enter.
Sorry, Musab, I stood up. I mean, you're trying to install something?
I'm trying to install a fresh machine in LVM partitioning scheme. Last time we did installation with standard partitions. So as we have now learned LVM, we are trying to do installation with LVM style partitions.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the menus are going to get appear in a while. Select the language and your region to set the currency. I'm selecting English India. I clicked on continue. So the first thing that we are going to change is time and date. The same thing, guys, what we have done in our first time installation. So most of the things would be same, only partitioning style would change. So I'm in India, I'm selecting my region so that the time and date is set according to Indian time, right? See, I'm not going to make any change in Red Hat registration. I'm not going to change installation source, that is DVD, that's fine for me. I want to do installation server with GUI. That means I want command line and graphic both environments. I'm not going to disturb it. But definitely the destination or partitioning I'm going to change. So let me go for this option, and already the disk is selected. Same like last time, I want to do custom based partitions. That means I want to do partitioning on my own. I don't want these partitions to be created on its own. So I have selected custom, and now let me click on done. Now, once you have clicked on done, you remember the last time we changed the method from LVM to standard partitioning. But now I'm going to continue with LVM. See, as of now, we know what LVM is, and if I create my important partitions, root, home, var, in LVM platform, then whenever the space is filled up, I can easily expand the capacity. The reason to do installation in LVM platform is only to have a benefit that whenever the space is getting filled up, you can easily expand the capacity. And most preferred installation, even in working scenarios, is LVM based installation. Because if due to any reason the space is fixed up, you are not able to increase the capacity, then you need to delete the data, take backup. Many of that headaches will be there. If you want your environment to work for years without any space issue, the most preferred installation is LVM based installation, so that whenever there is a space issue, you can expand the capacity. Let me click on plus, right? And I'm going to create. See, last time we have created root, boot, and swap. This time also, if you want, you can go for same thing. But guys, I wanted to go with separately root, boot, home, var, and swap. We'll not create BIOS boot because our hard disk is just 20 GB. If your hard disk is 20, 25 GB or 100 GB, it is definitely going to go with MBR scheme. If your hard disk is very big, like if it is in 500 GB or 1 TB, more than 1 TB, I told you that if your disk is more than 1 TB, automatically during installation, it is going to go with GPD format. So if your disk is taking GPD format, then you have to create BIOS boot with just 1 or 2 MB. If you create, that is more than enough. So in most of the cases, we are not going to touch that BIOS boot part. I'll go with root, and the capacity, suppose here, I would like to give is 8 GB. See why I'm giving 8 GB or maybe 10 GB? The reason is I'm going to create var separately, home separately. So var and home will not be a part of root. It will be a separate thing. It would be taking space separately. It won't be taking the space from root. If you are only planning to create root, you don't want to create var and home separately, then you can give maximum size to root only. So let me click on add. You see, when I say add, automatically it is going to create a PV and it is going to add it as an LV. So you see, by default a volume group is created with the name RHEL. If you don't like that name, then you can click on modify and change the name to whatever you want to change. And a logical volume it has created with the name called root. So inside RHEL, there is this fellow created with the name called root. Okay, that's fine for me. I don't want to make any more changes. It's okay. So what I'll do now is I'll go for next partition. Let me go with plus. This time I'll go with boot. See, boot, I'll select the size 1 GB. Guys, what did I told you? That boot cannot be created as LV. Now you see, although although the main scheme I have selected is LVM. I told that all the things I want to create under LVM scheme. But still, when I try to create boot inside LVM scheme, by default, what would be the behavior you observe here? See, boot is created as a standard partition. If you try to change that standard to LVM and continue, it will not continue. It will throw the error and tell you that boot cannot be created as LVM. So even though the main scheme we have selected is LVM, but still automatically boot is getting created as a standard partition. It is not allowing us to create boot as a other partition. Okay, all right. Now let's move ahead and let us try to continue with other partitions. I'll go with next partition. I'll go with home. See, what should be the size for home? I'll go with 2 GB. Remember, these are LVs what we are creating. Anytime if they are come close to filled up, you have a chance to easily expand the capacity. So starting with 2 GB is not a bad idea. In future, if you think more space is required, you can expand it anytime. So let me say add mount point. Then again, I'll go for plus. This time I'll go for var, and for var also, I'll give around 2 GB. Right? Now the last partition what I have to create is swap. So let me click on plus and excuse me for a moment, guys. I'm sorry. So the last partition I have to create is swap. See, the RAM we have given is 2 GB. So swap I would like to take is 4 GB. Right? Now, this is the way how you have to create LVM based installations, guys. So the difference is in the previous type of installation, we selected the scheme standard partition. But if you want flexible volumes whose size can be easily expanded continuously whenever there is a requirement, then you can go with LVM platform. So we have created all of them as LVM. Now I am done with that. I want to continue with these changes. I'll click on done. It asks you the question, do you accept the change that these type of partitions and LVs will be created? I'll say yes, I want to create it. Right? Then you know the role of kdump. We are not going to disturb the kdump activity, but definitely I want to have network setup. So I'll go for network setup. First of all, I will give a simple name to my computer. For example, I'll call it mlinux 30. I'll click on apply. I'll click on configure. Same like last time settings, guys. First of all, I'll go to general. I'll click on connect automatically with priority. Then I'll go for IPv4 settings. Click on add and give it some IP. To avoid confusions, use the same numbers what I'm using. Last time for other machine I used 10.20. Now I'm using 10.30. Let me press the tab key and let me make the net mask 24. Keep it like that only and save that changes. Now one more thing, guys, before we can do ping test, let me activate this adapter. Go to your VM settings one more time. In VM settings, go to network. In network, NAT is selected. So let us change that NAT to host only adapter. I have shown you this entire setup in our previous class when we have done installation for the first time, right? So what we did is we have assigned the IP address in the VM. And in the settings of VM, the type of connection we have changed to host only adapter. Now let me do the ping test. Okay, let me do that ping test. I'll say ping 192.168.10.20. Let's see will it respond or not. So as you can see, it is responding. That means the connectivity, the network configuration is perfect. Let us come back to our virtual machine one more time. Click on Done. Don't disturb that security policy. Let us come to root password. Set the root user password. I'm setting up Red Hat as a root password. As it is a weak password, we need to click 2 times on done to confirm it. So I'll give done one time and done another time. If you want additionally, you can add one more user. So I clicked on user creation. Let me create a user with a name my user. I'll give a password for my choice and let me click on done. Again, it's a weak password, so 2 times you have to click on done. Now, as all the settings are applied, let's click on begin installation. Now, from here, it is going to take some time, as you know, to complete your installation. So you see the whole installation method process was absolutely same as previous installation class. The only difference is instead of standard partition, we went with LVM based installation. So that is it guys for today's session. Now if you have any questions or queries, you can put your questions guys. I'll try to answer them.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Hello.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell me. Please.
Yeah, actually, if I have my physical volume is 10 GB, can we create like my volume group is 5 GB like that? By default, we
Oh,
can create as per.
no. See, LV size Satish is in your hand, but volume group size will be automatically taken. For example, you have a PV 10 GB. Now, when you add that 10 GB into a volume group, for example, my VG, so automatically it is going to take the whole 10 GB to it. Now, with that 10 GB, when you create logical volume, then you can create logical volume with your choices. But one full physical volume will be completely given to volume group, and volume group will absorb all the size of that physical volume.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, I guess there are no more questions or no other questions. No problem. So you can please continue with this practicals. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we don't have any class. So please try to finish this LBA practicals perfectly. And then our next class onwards, that would be Monday for US people and Tuesday for Indian people. We will continue with new chapter, that is user administration. Another lengthier chapter is there. So we'll continue 2 days after, guys. Thank you very much and have a nice weekend and safe weekend. Thank you very much, guys.